cleared yet.
Window cleared yet, did you say?
Window cleared, yes.
Columbia, this is Houston, over. Columbia, go ahead. Columbia, this is Houston. We'd like you to cycle the band in cryo-hydrogen tank number 1, and LOS time this orbit is 111-19-31. Correction, make that for the next orbit. You already have the AOS LOS for this orbit. Roger on time, and you want to cycle the fan and cryo-hydrogen tank 1. Roger out.
What's happening now, Eric?
The Mission Control Center were talking to Columbia about the time for loss of signal. They are still in contact with Columbia, and they were requesting 2 operations to be performed before they lose communication with Columbia. Meanwhile, at Tranquility Base, the 2 astronauts are removing the hatch cover. Apparently, it has been opened and it has to be stowed before Armstrong can egress.
When you say stowed, it doesn't just swing back on a hinge. You should expect a door
Not
to...
quite so simple as that, no.
We had something about visor clearing. Is this a misting problem, do you think?
It would appear to be a misting problem. I read it as window rather than visor, but perhaps this was just a change in nomenclature on the part of the astronauts.
They have in fact got 2 visors with heaters built in to prevent this misting, and this of course protects them against infrared and ultraviolet and to some extent against micrometeorites.
Yes, indeed, that is so, and it may be that the visors have not come up to temperature completely and sufficiently to prevent misting, in which case obviously Armstrong will not egress.
One thing I noticed that on this particular module, as opposed to the previous module, they've only got 3 sensors. There isn't a sensor on the leg that's got the ladder. Now, why is this?
Well, the reason for that is that they do not want to introduce a potential hazard in the form of a sharp object which could conceivably perforate the spacesuits of the astronauts.
There seems to be a lot of noise coming over.
PLSS is now for 16.5 minutes.
That's 16.5 minutes on the portable life support system now.
It is indeed.
Which gives them 31 and...
Columbia,
No.
This is Houston. We show you near the high gain antenna scan limit. When you lose lock on us, we request Omni Delta. Omni Delta when you lose lock, over.
So this is a question of using the correct aerial.
Yes.
Roger, Omni Delta.
One would like
So they've now
to
got
be
3.5
describing
hours left on their
going
portable
down
life
on
support
hands and
system.
knees and backing
Yes, they
out,
still have a very active
maneuvering
system.
himself out.
We're 8 minutes away from loss of signal. Columbia.
So Columbia's going on the back in 8 minutes. This one shouldn't affect us, should it?
No, this has no impact at all on the moonwalk. The last message, which was relayed from Mission Control Center to Columbia.
Okay, my window's cleared. I'm going to go to the...
Window's
I'd like to
clear.
line up a little bit. Okay, my window's clear.
Oh, that, he must mean his, yeah.
So the walk should start at any moment.
We're very close now.
Have they been, you've heard them complain about that before?
I'm 6 circuit is 4243. FN pressure light, a 3M light, and ECS light. Down, we got a water separator light. Water all check. Right.
These are still checking
And I'll look
systems.
at your cabin fan, one second bigger, you look at the glycol secondary.
Well, Freddie, as a doctor, do you think they sound pretty calm?
They sound very calm indeed, and they've sounded very calm throughout the whole of the trip.
Pressure 4 points. It's cooling now. Me too.
I think this is really surprising and very, very commendable.
Okay. Glycol pump secondary circuit breaker open. Time to lean this way. Can't go any further. Alright, cabin fan 1 is, yeah, that's good. Can you take it?
Done a full tape on there.
Verified.
This is Neil Armstrong, presumably, is it?
Okay. Pings, radar, circuit breakers open.
Yes, it might be an idea to run it back. I think it's not all that involved, is it?
These are final checks on the life support system
Yeah,
and
I'm looking head on at it. I'll get it.
on the cooling
Okay,
loop.
let's get your antenna.
When do you reckon they'll walk out now?
Okay. Now ready to go down and get the moon. The antenna's out. Right. And now we're ready to hook up the LEC here.
How long do you reckon it'll be before they walk down now? Do I have to make a
Go
guess?
down. Stay with no twists now. Put the bag up this way. That's even.
What do you think?
Are
Within
you hooked up to it?
one can expect them
Okay,
Neil.
now we need to hook this. Yeah, move that up there. Okay.
They're making final preparations now for
Okay, your visors.
Neil to egress.
Yeah.
Buzz Aldrin is performing final checks on the spacesuit and on the portable life
Your
support
back is
system.
up against the perch.
How difficult, I wonder, is it
And now
to
it's on
get
top
into
of the
the
50.
get into the position, backing
Now
out
you're
through
clear.
that hatch with that
Over toward me.
big life support system on your back?
It is quite
Stay
difficult
down.
because the hatch is only 32 inches square.
Plenty of room.
It now sounds
Get you lined up nicely.
that Neil Armstrong is
Toward me a little
egressing.
bit. Down. Okay, now you're clear.
Down.
You're catching the first hinge at bottom. So what hinge? Alright, move. Your roll to the left.
This is Aldrin
Okay,
giving
now
them
you're clear.
instructions.
Yes.
Is this Armstrong?
Lined up on the platform. Move your left foot to the right a little bit.
I think
Okay, that's good.
Aldrin is
All
giving
left.
Armstrong instructions, like backing a car out. I think. I'm hearing rather better.
Okay, now I'm going to check gas here. Okay, you're not quite squared away. Pull to the right a little. Now you're even. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. Got plenty of room to your left. It's a little close on the back.
Aldrin actually has to guide him out.
How am I
then.
doing? You're doing fine.
Yes, because of the small clearance between the hatch edge and the portable life support system.
What's going to happen when Buzz Aldrin goes out? He has to do it on his own, does he?
He will probably receive some guidance from Armstrong from outside the module.
Well, Armstrong will be
Okay,
filming
want
it
the
all.
bag?
Of course.
Jump.
Now So he should be pulling the D-ring. He should, Shirley said on the second step he pulls the D-ring. We get the TV. That's it, is it?
Okay, Houston, I'm on the porch.
So he's outside.
He is now outside the module.
Crouching on his knees, presumably, with his feet out.
Yes.
Must feel very ungainly.
Okay, stand by, Neil. Columbia, this is Houston, 1 minute, 30 seconds to LOS. All systems go, over.
How long is it likely to take him to climb down the ladder?
Okay. Get a little slack?
Should be about 5 minutes. I think he's going to take it very carefully, rung by rung. 9 rungs.
And the bottom one's what, 2 feet 6 from the Earth, or rather the Moon, isn't it?
2 feet 6 from the pad. We still don't know whether the pad is on the level of the Moon. Maybe a little lower, which will help.
Neil Armstrong on the porch at 109 hours, 19 minutes, 16 seconds.
So although man isn't yet on the Moon, he is at least outside the bug, on the porch, ready to go down the ladder.
Remains to be seen whether he'll stop for a mint julep.
Any more slack, bud? No, hold it just a minute. Okay.
.5 minutes of PLSS time expended now.
Okay, everything's nice and straight in here. Okay, can you pull the door open a little more? Right? Okay. Did you get the main down? I'm going to pull it now.
The D-ring.
Of course, one thing we've got to remember is that we hear no sound here in vacuo, only their voices coming through the microphones in the
Standing by
helmets.
for your CGV.
It's so amazing, everything does work.
Houston, this is Neil, radio check. Neil, this is Houston, loud and clear. Break, Buzz, this is Houston, radio check and verified TV circuit breaker in.
So it looks as though we're going to get television pictures at any moment.
TV circuit breaker's in. And base 5 clear. Roger.
There's a picture coming.
And we're getting a picture on the TV.
Here are our pictures.
You got a good picture, huh? There's a great deal of contrast in it, and currently it's upside down on our monitor, but we can make out a fair amount of detail.
Upside down.
Now, Eric, can you interpret that picture?
They're
Okay,
looking.
when you verify the position, the opening I ought to have on the camera. Stand by.
They've now reversed it.
The camera
Here
is
we can
looking at.
see him actually climbing down the ladder. His left leg very slowly. Right
Okay, Neil, we
leg.
can see you coming down the ladder now.
Moving fast.
Okay, I just checked. Get back up to that first step. That isn't collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up. Roger, we copy. It's a pretty good little jump.
What he did then was to bring his left foot back up one run to make sure that he could get back again before he committed himself to going down.
Buzz, this is Houston. F2, 1/160th second for shadow photography on the sequence camera. Okay. At the foot of the ladder, the lamp footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches. Although the surface appears to be very, very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine.
Is that Armstrong saying it's almost like a
Now we can see the shadow of Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, I'm going to step off the limb now.
Just about to step off the lunar module for man to put his first footstep on the moon proper.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. As the surface is fine and powdery, I can kick it up loosely with my toe. It does adhere in fine layers, like powdered charcoal, to the sole and insides of my boot. I only go in a fraction of an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch, but I can see the footprints of my boots and the treads in the fine sandy particles.
You can see his footprint. Going off.
Yeah, this is Houston, we're copying.
And I suppose this is the most dramatic moment of the whole mission. He is actually standing on the moon, and man has imprinted his foot on the moon's surface. A footprint, presumably, it'll last there for a
There
million
seems to be
years.
no difficulty in moving around as we suspected. It's even perhaps easier than the simulations of 16G that we performed in various simulations on the ground. Absolutely no trouble to walk around.
He's already got a... Oh, that's the...
And at the moment, he has a piece of cord or wire in his hand. What is that?
Decent engine did not leave a crater of any size. It has about 1 foot clearance on the ground. We're essentially on a very level place here. I can see some evidence of rays emanating from the descent engine, but very insignificant amount. Okay, Buzz, we ready to
He changed.
bring down the camera? I'm all ready. I think it's 2 miles squared away and good shape.
Changed to a wide angle.
Okay. Okay, you'll have to pay out all the LEC. That looks like it's coming out nice and evenly.
The line,
Okay, it's
the line is used for lowering the
hard for me
camera
to
to
see
the
that I
lower
have good
surface.
footing. I'll work my way over into the sunlight here without looking directly into the sun. Okay, it's taut now. Unofficial time on the first step, 109.2420. Okay, I think you're pulling the wrong one. I'm ready to pull it down now. There was still a little bit left in the... Okay, don't hold it quite so tight. Okay?
Neil Armstrong has now moved a little bit away from the bug to set up the camera.
Looking up at the lamp, I'm standing directly in the shadow now, looking up at Buzz in the windows. And I can see everything quite clearly. The light is sufficiently bright, backlighted into the front of the lamp, that everything is very clearly visible.
He's taking his contingency sample, I would think. He's still messing about with the maze.
Okay, I'm going to be changing it up. Okay.
should be, the first thing he should do is get his contingency sample. He should have got it.
There's a very curious effect here, as though he's moving entirely in slow motion. Presumably this is because he is getting used to this low G, is it really?
He ought to be taking things extremely carefully, so a lot of this would be exaggerated slowness on his part.
Bad focus is there in the shadow. On the other hand, much better for him to work. Just some protection.
What is he doing now, Eric?
It is a little difficult to see, but in sequence he should now start to deploy the television camera at some distance from the module so that the egress of Aldrin and the subsequent activities can be observed.
I think in fact what he's doing is taking out a sort of butterfly net with which he picks up the contingency sample of lunar Earth to put in his trouser pocket in case they have to get back into the lunar module quickly. He's taking that out of the modularized equipment
Surgeon says
stowage.
the camera installed on the RCU bracket. Surgeon says the crew is doing well. Data is good, crew is doing well. I'm still in the LEC on the secondary stretch.
I think we can see him beginning to scoop up that sample now.
This, of course, is the first thing he does after getting used to it, in case they have to take off in a hurry, because come what may, they're going to bring a bit of the moon back.
It certainly looks like it now.
Roger, Neil, we're reading you loud and clear. Let's see, get some pictures and the contingency sample.
He's taking some photographs as well.
.5 minutes of PLSS time expended now.
I don't think he'll move the camera from this position on the lunar module until shortly before Aldrin is due to come down, which ought to be in about 10 minutes from now.
I think that is correct, Colin.
Aldrin will have been taking still photographs and movies of him out of the lunar module window.
He's standing there just like a hiker with rather a large, heavy haversack on his back. He's slightly
Neil, this is Houston. Did you copy about the contingency sample? Over?
I think one thing we should comment
All right,
on
you're
is
going to get to that just as soon as they finish these picture series.
how magnificent these pictures on BBC One are, in fact.
I'm surprised at his mobility. His arm movements all the time seem to be extremely free.
This reflects on the rather brilliant design of the suit, presumably.
Yes.
It is perhaps evident from the comments just now from Mission Control that the astronaut here is exercising a little bit of individuality in taking photographs in advance of collecting his contingency sample.
I think this must indicate that he feels fairly confident. It is of course very useful to have photographs of the areas from which the samples are collected before they're disturbed.
Well, he's now moved so far away that we've lost him.
That's good.
Now, getting this sample, will he have to dig hard or just scrape it up? What will it be like, Lionel?
It looks as though the top couple of inches at least is very loose, friable material, and he should have no difficulty at all in scooping up quite sufficient for the contingency sample.
perfect, isn't it? It's bad luck that they're in the shadow for the picture.
Are you able from these pictures yet, Lionel, to say anything about the moon's surface?
Down and it's
At the moment, not really, because the contrast is adjusted so that we can see the module and the astronaut clearly. And,
very interesting. It's a very soft surface, but here and there where I plug with the contingency sample collector, I run into very hard surface, but it appears to be very cohesive material of the same sort.
Is this what you expected?
yes, pretty well, yes. The top few inches only are very loose and friable, and the material compacts substantially at greater depths.
I ran into here and there, I ran into very, hard material.
As long as he scrapes the instrument along the top surface, it will be
Very hard.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here. Be advised that a lot of the rock samples out here, the hard rock samples, have what appear to be vesicles in the surface.
Yet to be.
Also, I'm looking at one now that appears to have some sort of phenocryst.
Now what does that mean, Lionel?
Houston, roger out.
Well, the presence of vesicles, of small holes in the surface rock, is by no means unexpected. This has been predicted from laboratory studies and also
okay. The handle is off the.
and also observed in surveyor pictures of nearby rocks.
Push it in about 6 to 8 inches into the surface. Like it's pretty easy to.
It is. It's. I'm sure I could push it in farther, but it's hard for me to bend down farther than that.
He is restricted in his movement on the suits, isn't he, Freddie?
You can throw so far.
Really throw things a long way up here.
Perhaps one of his more important comments was the presence of phenocrysts in some of the rocks.
What are they?
These are inclusions, and of course indicate that the rock does have a substantial physical structure of its own, and is not just compacted surface material.
Did you expect this?
The answer is
That pocket open, bud?
4/5 yes, I think, on the
Yes,
basis
it
of
is.
what we've
It's
seen
not, up
from
against
surveyor
your suit,
pictures.
so hit it back once more. More toward the inside. Okay, that's good.
This must be the most precious bit of rock ever
Yeah,
scraped
push
out.
down.
Indeed, so.
Got it? No, not all the way in. Push it. There you go.
Contingency sample is in the pocket. My oxygen is 81%. I have no flags, and I'm in minimum flow. This is Houston, Roger Neil.
So he's got one in the bag.
We've got it in the bag, yes, and everything's still going well.
Now he's presumably out in the sun now, isn't he?
Yes, it's interesting. He hasn't commented yet
Okay, I
upon
got the camera going at 1 frame a second. Okay.
on the radiation. He did mention in the beginning that he wasn't going to look anywhere near the sun, so he must
And I've got 80%, no flags.
have the impression that it's very, very dazzling.
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston? Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture.
Oh, it's pulling it up, Robert. Oh, are they pulling it up or letting it down?
Neil, this is Houston. We're getting a picture. You're not in at the present time. We can see the bag on the LEC being moved by Buzz, though. Here you come into our field of view.
Now he's gone into the sun.
Let me move that over the
Getting confident.
He's moving very quickly.
head
Yes.
for you.
And he's come back into the shade.
For me to come out?
Yeah, just stand by a second. I'll move this over the handrail.
Yes, we're doing this with great expertise.
I'm surprised he's moving as quickly as this.
He's moving about with very great confidence now, isn't he?
Yes.
And it sounds as though Buzz Aldrin is just about to egress, as you put it in your jargon.
All right, that's got it.
Indeed.
Are you ready? All set. Okay, you saw what difficulties I was having. I'll try to watch your bliss from underneath here.
Yes, as you suggested, Neil Armstrong's going to give Buzz Aldrin instructions of how to get himself out through that 32-inch square hole. Now, Buzz Aldrin was to have come out 25 minutes after Neil Armstrong, so we're just about right, aren't we?
Yes, this part of the timeline is on schedule, and the most fantastic thing
Okay, your
is
bliss looks like it's clearing, okay?
the incredible mobility of Neil Armstrong.
Now he's standing with the full glare on his right
Okay,
hand
now
side.
drop your bliss down. There you go, you're clear.
Full glare of the sun.
And laterally, you're good. Got an inch clearance on stop your bliss.
He's standing with his feet about 18 inches
Okay, you
apart.
need a little bit of arching of the back to come down.
When he gets the sun, you see how the sun...
Now he's walked away to
Okay, you're right at
get
the
a
edge
better
of the
view.
porch. Okay. Back in from... Small little foot movement. Porch. Arching of the back. Moment comes up and clears the bulkhead without any trouble at all. Looks good.
Now, who's that? Hello.
I'm really surprised he moves
45
around just like a man on
PLSS
Earth.
time expended.
Quite incredible, isn't
Yes.
it? You'd think he'd lived on the moon for a year.
I seem to recognize there a little bit more bounce than a man on
Neil,
Earth
this
would
is
have.
Houston. Based
He's a
on
little
your
bit
camera
more
transfer with the
spongy
LEC, do you foresee
in his
any
stride.
difficulties in SRC transfer over? Negative. That's the sample return containers, the rock boxes that Capcom. Now I want to back up and partially close that.
Why is he backing up and partially closing the hatch here, Eric?
That is
Making sure not to lock it on my way out.
that is perhaps to minimize
Really
the
good thought.
solar
That's our home for the next couple hours. We want to take good care of it.
input to, and also
Okay, I'm on the top step and I can look down over the RCU and landing gear pad.
to minimize contamination within the LEM.
It's a very simple matter to hop down from one step to the next. Yes, that power would be very comfortable and walking is also very comfortable.
And Buzz Aldrin isn't having much difficulty either.
You've got 3 more steps and then a long one.
And here he comes. Coming down rather faster than Neil Armstrong did. Probably got a bit of confidence of seeing how easy Neil's made it.
Okay, I can leave that 1 foot up there and both hands down to about the 4th rung up.
This is Buzz Aldrin speaking.
There you go. Okay, now I think I'll do the same. A little more. About another inch.
Neil Armstrong telling him where his foot
That's a
is.
good step. Yep.
Yes, he's
That's a
practicing.
3-footer.
He's jumping up and down now. And I must say, he jumps up in the air with great ease.
Yeah, isn't that something? Magnificent sight out here.
That really was... That,
Magnificent desolation.
Well, ballet on the moon should be very effective at 1/6 G. In fact, Buzz Aldrin came off 18 and a half minutes after Armstrong.
Looks like the secondary strut. Have little thermal effects on it right here, Neil. Yeah, I noticed that. That's the
seems to be the worst, although similar effects are on all around.
There is very, very fine powder, isn't it?
Isn't it fine?
Right in this area, I don't think there's much of any fine powder. Some clods together, it's hard to tell whether it's a clod or a rock.
Notice how you can pick it out?
Down it bounces and then
Well, now we've been joined by another guest, Professor Sam Talansky from the Royal Holloway College at Englefield Green, who's just making himself comfortable, and he'll be ready to comment in a moment, I'm sure.
reaching down, just fairly easy. Get my suit dirty at this stage.
He's on a motor to it. Armstrong really, isn't he? Still, mind you, he's got Armstrong's experience behind him.
The mass of the backpack does have some effect in inertia.
Doing a little down. Doing a sort of bear down. Yeah.
There's a slight tendency I can see now to backwards due to the soft, very soft texture.
You're standing on a rock, big rock there now.
The soft block.
Sure did. No, it didn't. That's no crater there at all, man. No?
Well, Professor Talansky has just come in. He's very interested to know what the dust situation is. Would you like to fill him in quickly, Lionel?
Yes, of course.
I like that.
It seems that the top few inches is very loosely packed dust, and that the surface becomes much more compacted below this level.
Well, can I make some comment on this? I noticed that there was some comment when they were coming down to land that their engines were blowing up some dust, and this dust question has been a sore and thorny point for many years amongst people. Well, I myself never expected the dust to mean anything, for the simple reason that being no atmosphere, the fine dust particles would fall as fast as heavy rock. People seem to have missed this point. A lot of people seem to have missed this point. If they didn't, then old Aristotle was right, and he certainly wasn't right, you see. So that people were anticipating an awful lot of trouble from dust. I wasn't. They may well have blown up some dust, and I think it must have fallen back solid, not drifted down, but shot down as fast. The small dust must have shot down just as fast as the big, huge chunks of rock would have fallen.
They have in fact said that there's no crater visible beneath the cone of the engine, but there is a slight indication of some ray material, some small amount of dust which has fallen back.
Well, even if there had been dust and the dust was blown up, I don't think it was a hazard. In fact, it never occluded the windows. They never mentioned this. The whole dust story, I think, was a silly one myself from beginning to end.
Now we'll listen to what's coming over from the moon for a moment.
Fill up all the very little fine porises. They'll tend to slide over it rather easily. Neil Armstrong getting ready to move the TV camera now out to its panorama position. Traction seems quite good. Particular area.
What is happening is that Armstrong is moving the camera across to the position which is going to be set up.
Balance in one direction and recovery is quite natural and very easy. And moving arms around jacks up across the surface.
find it.
And I have the insulation off the mesa now.
Were they warning him?
To be in good shape.
Maybe not quite that light-footed with the last race.
You have to be careful that you're leaning in the direction you want to go, otherwise you might be an or you have to cross your foot over to stay underneath where your mass is.
Is that all that you think? Funny, they've...
There's something curiously grotesque in these
We might see some purple on it.
hooded figures moving about in slow motion.
Yeah. He has seen something? He might, I think he said he might see something.
Very small, monthly.
Very small start. I wonder if that's something weird. That's a phrase for them. I can't understand why they haven't moved the TV
So there's
camera.
some
We've
small
got the same
spots and
picture
stuff.
back again.
This is probably glassy tectites. I've been waiting for this.
Now these are these glass-like particles that appear on Earth sometimes, and you think come from the moon. Is that right,
No.
Sam?
I think they will be on the moon. I think the pieces of moon rock will have glass attached to them if there has been collision, or there may be little glass marbles all over the place. I mentioned this to Frank Borman, and he said he was informing the men who went out to keep their eyes skinned for glass
Seems to be
marbles.
doing any job.
This is exciting.
Tipping about. Disturb the soil or something.
Biotite is a brown mica. Okay, Houston, I'm going to change lenses on you.
All right.
Roger, Neil.
They're switching lenses now on the television cameras.
You say he recognised biotite at sight.
He indicated that in fact he had
Life
recognized
support
biotite.
consumables still looking good.
And Freddie, they don't seem to be having too much trouble with heat and so on, although he's been up there some time now.
Well, they've been moving around in the shade quite a lot, I've noticed. They haven't been out in the direct sunlight for very long. Behind the shade of the module.
For your information, all lens systems are go. Over.
So all's well on the lunar module.
Appreciate that, thank you.
That looks like the same bloody picture to me.
Have you any idea just what's going on at the moment? Eric?
No, I believe that the next activity will be, in fact, to
Now unveiling the plaque.
Unveiling.
deploy the
Roger, we got you four-sided, but back on one side.
lunar surface instruments and the instruments from
The other camera
the
there. Well, there's
And I have
that's
some
a film
information
camera
for
though, I
you.
see.
Armstrong
Oh, I
stepped
see, yeah.
onto the moon at
Yep, we haven't read the plaque. We'll read the plaque that's on the front landing gear of this lamp. There's two hemispheres, one showing each of the two hemispheres of Earth. Underneath it says, "Dear man from the planet Earth, first set foot upon the moon, July 1969, it came indeed for all mankind. It has the remembering signatures and signature of the President of the United States."
That is the famous medallion being put on the surface of the moon. I was saying that we
He
got
did
some
that marvelous,
information about the
didn't he,
precise
really?
times. Armstrong
Real
stepped on the
factual.
moon at 3 hours, 56 minutes, 20 seconds. That is
The X-15
02:56:20 Greenwich Mean Time.
Ready for what? Right, the
Aldrin
camera.
stepped on the moon at 4 hours, 14 minutes, 50 seconds. Or 3:03:14:50 GMT. These are these, I think, quite famous times in history. Now, having deposited the medallion, what's next? The United States flag?
Yes, the flag is next.
Whether how good your lens is, if you can touch it,
No spot in the schedule for planting, but this would be the obvious time to do it.
very much like a very finely powdered carbon, but pretty looking. You pull out some of my cable for me, bud?
It's pretty obvious that you need two men on the moon. They have to help each other a great deal, don't they? In silly little things like how to get out, where their feet are, and so on.
Houston, how close are you able to get things in focus?
This is Houston. We can see Buzz's right hand. It's somewhat out of focus. I'd say we were focusing down to probably about 8 inches to a foot behind the position of his hand when he was pulling out the cable.
Okay, how's the temperature looking there? Temperature of the camera is showing cold.
Showing what? Say cold?
I'm a little cooler than colder. Okay.
Was that the first indication
He was deliberately putting that on, do you think, was he? I think so, yeah.
of temperature problems? Did he say that he was feeling a little cold?
He was giving the camera temperature, wasn't he?
Oh, I see.
Mm.
And we'll probably need a little distance that location. Elevator camera.
And the camera's now being set up. It's swinging about rather like somebody learning to take movies at the moment. No doubt it'll settle in a second or so.
And Neil, let's look at the minus the direction of travel there. That one right to left. Right. So this one over here underneath the SNH for the probe first hit. That's my probe first hit. I got plenty of cable. You got plenty.
Everyone's broadcasting to Europe, Reg. Everyone's broadcasting to
And this
Europe.
cable we're talking about, of course, is the connecting cable between the camera and the lunar
I think I
module.
got
Yes, indeed.
something interesting at the bottom of this little crater here. Maybe, I keep going. We got a lot more.
Keep on. Keep going, we've got a lot more.
Harder to pull out here.
No cable, I suppose. No.
The TV camera requires the use of the module transmitter and high gain antenna in order to transmit the wideband signal.
And they're pulling it out as far away, presumably, as they can.
Forward, the minus Y strut is the landing gear to your left. Hey, I am, Buzz.
About 30
20, 50 feet, why don't you turn around and let them get a view from there and tell me what the field of view looks like. Backing into the cable.
And now, we saw for a moment the lunar module, but he lost it.
To your right. I don't want to go into the sun if I can avoid it. That's right, Jim.
Now, Freddie, was that a joke or was that serious?
Well, he sounded serious.
I just have that field of view going to be pick up the mesa far away. Right.
And now we can see the lunar module there.
Neil, this is Houston. The field of view is okay. We'd like you to aim it a little bit more to the right, over.
And obviously it's settled down perfectly, almost exactly vertical.
Okay, that's all the cable we have. Going out. I'll start working on the stroke.
A little bit too much to the right. You can bring it back left about 4 or 5 degrees.
This are instructions from Houston on exactly how to aim the camera, which of course hasn't got a viewfinder.
Okay, now, think ought to be farther away or closer? Can't get too much further away.
look okay as far as distance goes, Neil, and we'll line you up again when you finish the panorama. You're going too fast in the panorama sweep. You're going to have to stop for...
What is happening now is they're swinging the camera around to look at the lunar landscape.
That's the first picture in the panorama. Right there.
Now then, Lionel, you're looking at the moon. Is that what you expected?
Yes, very much so, I think, for this area. As Armstrong said, we have a real mixture of all the usual features, quite a large number of blocks of rock, and the usual sprinkling of craters.
We've got a beautiful picture, Neil.
Well, we've got a picture.
You can see mainly depression craters, which don't have very substantial rims. Camera's moving around now again.
It's usually argued that these blocks are not weather blocks, but this may not be so. There may have been a fierce atmosphere at one time. One theory is that the moon was captured by the Earth, and in doing so, tore off a very considerable quantity of water from the Earth. This might mean, in fact, there could be life on the moon which was Earth life, and there could have been for quite an appreciable period later on, before it lost its atmosphere.
In the foreground. Roger, we have a large angular rock in the foreground that looks like a much smaller rock a couple inches to the left. Over.
And on beyond it, about 10 feet, is an even larger rock that's around it.
Now what we're looking at now is a bit of the lunar landscape.
Rock is about, the closest one to you is about sticking out of the sand about 1 foot. It's about 1.5 feet long, and it's about 6 inches thick, but it's standing on edge.
And this looks a bit rugged. There's no smooth horizon here. And now he's swinging the camera again to have another look at another bit of the moon.
The horizons of these strangers both concave and convex.
They have said that they think they may have landed inside a fairly substantial crater.
Yes. Personally, I'd be delighted because I'm predicting diamonds near the craters.
Quite, yes.
And if they're near the crater, they might have some diamondiferous rock.
So they've got a small crater there within walking distance.
Yes, a pair of small craters.
And now we're once more looking at the module
the camera, do you think?
and presumably Buzz Aldrin moving about.
So that's Armstrong collecting the sample.
We'd like it to come left about 5 degrees over.
Instructions from Houston to swing the camera left so that they get the module more or less in the centre of the picture. It's now being done.
Monitor command.
No disaster with those craters and all that. They're very close to them.
But in fact they have landed on just about the smoothest bit of the moon that we've yet seen.
Yes, the pair of craters close together, which we've seen, would have been quite disastrous if we had gone into one of them.
The TV to deploy side.
1 hour.
Take fast scan.
Is this a tribute to Armstrong's skill, do you think, Eric, or is this a bit of luck?
I think it's a mixture of both. In view of the problems they were having during the landing, during the descent, it is unlikely that they could have selected this site without at least a small element of luck, but this in no way detracts from Neil Armstrong's skill.
Well, now we're seeing both men moving with a most curious gait at the moment, Freddie.
Directing the solar wind experiment.
Yes.
Now this solar wind experiment is in fact a sheet of aluminium foil on a stick. It sounds very grand and it's going to be a very useful experiment, but for sheer simplicity I should think nothing has ever beaten it.
Well, perhaps when Thales measured the height of the pyramids, Perhaps Peter just slightly. He just stuck a stick in his hand.
Probably true, sir. Well, they got one of those as well.
Pushed away a little bit. You can forward.
I think this is the reason why they're cohesive. You can reckon that the soil particles are all electrically charged and they cohere together for that reason. This is my guess. It's probably a good guess, too.
That sounds very feasible, I must say, Sam. Something I never thought of before.
What are the chances of them picking up a charge?
Quite appreciable, and I should have thought one of the main hazards that these men are exposed to is radiation. Radioactive radiation, because the surface, having been exposed for millions of years without an atmosphere, ultraviolet, electron bombardment, proton bombardment, cosmic rays, may well be radioactive. And that may be a real hazard. We'll know when this stuff is brought back, because this is one of the first checks. Is it radioactive? I don't think there's any hazard. The biological hazard, I don't think, is a genuine one. But the radioactive hazard, I think, is a real possibility.
I was thinking in terms of picking up a static charge. You know, in very,
yes,
very
but
dry...
it won't discharge. There's nothing for the spark to go. At least I don't think so. There's no breakdown. They'd have to pick up a very big voltage for a breakdown in a vacuum.
Well, how about the two ships to come together afterwards?
Yes, there's a possibility of a spark passing between the two. There is that possibility.
Could that be dangerous, Eric?
No, I would not think so. A spark passing between the two vehicles would not initiate any of the explosive or propellant devices.
What would happen is the spark would pass, the main vehicle would acquire a charge. That would be dangerous were it not for the fact that on re-entry it will lose that charge.
Yes,
So the fact it won't be charged when it comes down. It will create so much ionization around itself that it will lose that charge. Even if it picked up a very big charge, it would lose that on re-entry.
Well, we now see the two astronauts moving very slowly towards the camera.
They're shuffling, aren't they?
Shuffling in a sort of curious slow motion movement. There's no doubt that they are, so to speak, feeling their feet, because nobody's been quite sure whether you should walk or jump as though you're in a sack race. At the present moment, they seem to be doing a mixture of both.
Is this the solar wind experiment? I think so.
I get the impression that they're afraid to overexert themselves and go too far because of the small gravitational pull.
Well, in the first few minutes we saw Armstrong moving quite quickly, but I suspect that, as you say, the actual enthusiasm is worn off and they're taking things quite carefully.
This question of radioactivity that Professor Talansky's brought up, how well is the suit insulated?
With respect to particle radiation, the protection is minimal in that there is no metallic interweaving in the present suit.
The suit would be only protected against very, very soft radiation.
Well, it will be completely absorbing to alpha particles, that would be no worry. But beta rays and gamma rays would get in.
Oh, yes.
Columbia, this is Houston reading you loud and clear.
I suppose we do have some upper limit on the intensity of gamma rays from the reference rules.
Well, I'm not sure about that, you see. I don't think the surveyors or anything of this can help because it might be extremely localized. Then you might find one patch of the moon which is quite free and another patch which is very dangerous. I don't think you can draw any firm conclusions.
So you've got possibility of direct radiation plus radiation from the moon. Now, will they be monitoring this and checking
I
it?
don't mind a bit.
This I don't know. I know that they will, of course, very carefully monitor and check the samples.
They do carry dosimeters on their sleeves of the space suit.
Then they'll check it.
And now the Stars and Stripes is being stuck in the ground.
Yes.
Now, which flag is this? The Stars and Stripes or the NASA?
The Stars and Stripes.
Well, let's listen to NASA and see what they've got to say about this. This is a big moment, of course.
Thank you very much.
Fake news.
I didn't see that. I didn't say that.
In fact, the two men are fixing the flag up. Because, of course, there's no wind or atmosphere there, the flag has been made rigid so that it appears to be in a strong wind. Rather like one of those, if you like, paper flags that you have on a flag day, in a sense. The flag is taller than the men, quite a large flag itself, some 2 or 3 feet across. Now, of course, this is a traditional thing. When anyone goes anywhere for the first time, they put the flag there. We did the same thing way back in 1953 when we climbed Mount Everest.
They appear to be having considerable difficulty in emplacing the flag. In fact, Neil Armstrong did say a moment ago that it would not go in.
This is because it's on rock.
Well, there we are. It's stuck in and it's standing there. And they're now going in a sort of curious quadrille away from it.
They seem to be able to walk backwards almost as easily as they can walk forwards, don't they?
I suspect that Buzz Aldrin is having his photograph taken out by Neil Armstrong alongside the flag. Well, that's something for American history books in the future. And that's obviously just what's happening.
Have they taken a sample yet with the 1 foot sample?
Yes.
Yes, they got one in the bag.
They commented then on the difficulty of scraping into any great depth.
Yeah, well, this is. I'd like to make an interesting comment on this because I happen to be involved in a further stage. The next plan, well, on the next, that is Apollo 12, or Apollo 13, if the number of 13. The intention is to drill a 100-foot hole in the rock with a diamond drill. And the preliminary experiments have already been done on this, and if you like, I'll comment on this later.
It seems a fantastic enterprise. We'll certainly be interested later on, Sam, to hear about it. 100-foot holes, quite something.
I happen to be involved personally in that particular 100-foot project, so I can say something about it.
Good. Now the two men are moving about in this odd slow-motion gait. They don't seem to be having much trouble balancing, Freddie. Did you expect them to?
Well, when they seem as if they're going to topple slightly, it's not very rapid, so it looks as if they have ample time for the body reflexes to take over and for them to readjust their feet.
Because in a sense they've got to learn to walk all over again.
Yes.
And this is a most complicated reaction with all sorts of servo controls we have.
There's no doubt that when they do walk, they walk with a very bouncing step.
They're using their arms too, as a tightrope walker does for balance, aren't they?
Yes. They're all, well, he's almost running.
About 2 or 3 or maybe 4 easy phases can bring you to a fairly smooth stop. Direction. Like a football player, you just have to put out to the side and cut a little bit.
This is a quite wonderful scene with Neil Armstrong effectively running in slow motion.
So-called kangaroo hop does work, but it seems though your forward ability is not quite as good.
He's trying to jump.
And the conventional, more conventional, but after another.
trying out the various methods of locomotion on the moon. A kangaroo hop, which doesn't carry him forward as far as he expected it to. And it seems...
saying what a sustained pace might be. I think the one that I'm using now
The surface is very
would
rugged,
get rather tiring.
and that's shown by the rugged shadow.
Several hundred. But this may be a function of the suit, as well as lack of gravity force here.
Tranquility Base, this is Houston. Can we get both of you on the camera for a minute, please?
Now, Freddie, he's running about gaily in the
Roger, if I
sunshine.
can get both of you on the camera for a minute.
He said it might be rather fatiguing,
Neil and Buzz,
but
the President
they're
of the
obviously
United
not
States
having any trouble.
is in his office now and
with,
would like to say a few words to you, over.
And now we're going to hear President Nixon talking to them.
That would be an honor.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you... For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives. And for people all over the world, I am sure they too join with us in recognizing what an immense feat this is. Because of what you have done, the heavens have become a part of man's world. And as you talk to us from the sea of tranquility, it inspires us to redouble our efforts to bring peace and tranquility to Earth. For one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one. One in their pride in what you have done, and one in our prayers that you will return safely to Earth. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor and privilege for us to be here representing not only the United States, but and of peace of all nations, and with interest and a curiosity and with a vision for the future. Honor for us to be able to participate here today. And thank you very much, and I look forward, all of us look forward to seeing you on the Hornet on Thursday. Look forward to that very much, sir.
States, talking to Neil Armstrong.
Houston, over.
Another comment about the heat.
Roger, I've got a P-22 auto-optics pad for you. Roger, P-22, landmark ID, LAM, T1, 1102656. T2, 1103206.
What's all this, Eric?
3 miles south. Time of closest approach, 1103340.
This is information relating to the possible rendezvous, should this be required.
Decimal 855. Trillion 46. Decimal 495. Roll 0. Pitch 250. Yaw 0. Over.
That is the readout from the command and service module.
Roger out.
what we're seeing on the television now.
It's very interesting to note that when I kick my foot rail with no atmosphere here and it's gravity, they seem to leave, and most of them have about the same angle of departure and velocity. Where I stand, the large portion of them will impact at a certain distance out. By several percentage, of course, that will impact different regions out, but so it's highly dependent upon the initial trajectory upward. Already as the particle comes down, strikes the terrain.
Roger, Buzz, and break Columbia. This is Houston. When you track out of high gain antenna limits, request Omni Delta. Omni Delta, over.
Sam, while we got a
I've
moment,
noticed several times going from the sunlight into shadows, and just as I go in, I catch an additional reflection off the lens, along with the reflection off my face onto the visor, makes visibility very poor, just at the transition sunlight into the shadow. I essentially have so much glare coming onto my visor, I'm under shadow. Helmet actually gets shadow, and then it takes a short while for my eyes to adapt to lighting conditions. Inside the shadow area, visibility, as we've said before, is not too great, but
that picture in the view auditorium is very good, isn't it? I haven't seen it. I've not.
Footprints we have in the
Extremely good. Our picture, since bearing out there, I've been trying to tune hours in.
Smile, it takes much of Neil on a cable. Right foot.
Much better.
And
also, you can hear it much more clearly in the conversation. In there, you can hear it in the auditorium. Yes, very good. Extremely good.
instructions to him how to step over the cable.
Yeah, this is much better. There's less.
Neil Armstrong has the scoop for the bulb sample collection.
Well, I don't know whether we could. I've been trying to find that.
And now Neil Armstrong has
that's
picked
a
up
bit
a thing
better.
that looks rather like a spade, I must say, with a
That is
long
better.
handle on it.
I
And he's going to try and
improved it with
collect a
this.
large sample here. They want to collect up to 130 pounds, earth weight of course, of lunar material. The problem of the seeing is what you thought, isn't it, Freddie?
You
The
saw him
glare
running
is really
around.
difficult.
Yeah.
I thought that
That was Aldrin, wasn't it?
The color of my boots have completely disappeared now into this.
Sure, we can expect a new dome, the moon half. Yeah, but you know, I feel terrible, really. You ought to see Ronnie's story. It sort of breaks my heart, you know. That's what I used to be doing on the PA, you see, doing the story, doing the running story. It's beautiful stuff, it's all there. But he got that one small step for man. He got that all right, but he didn't get one giant leap for mankind. But I didn't know either, did you?
I didn't hear any of that, no, but
I can't understand why not. I was probably getting London.
Buzz, this is Houston. You're cutting out on the end of your transmission. Can you
The transcript be up there?
closely into your microphone, over?
Might be.
Roger, I'll try that.
Beautiful.
I think I'll go and look in the auditorium
Now I have that
for a minute.
Yeah, have
It's
it's remarkably good. You can hear it so
Sounded
clearly.
a little wet.
Well, Neil Armstrong is scraping up these samples here, very effectively and efficiently.
before we were just discussing that
Neil's been on the surface an hour now.
one of the problems might be this excessive glare and contrast in the
Buzz, not quite 20 minutes less than that.
the slowness of the eye to adapt between the two, and that we may have a better view of the situation with the fixed television camera.
Time spent in the shadow doesn't seem to have any thermal effect until we still inside the suit. There is a difference, of course, in the coming radiation and helmet, so I think there's a tendency to feel a little cooler in the shadow than we about the sun.
They can detect markedly the difference between being in sunlight and in shadow, even with all that insulation.
This is what you expected,
Yes,
isn't it?
and I should imagine that if they stood in one position for more than a minute or two, they could be rather uncomfortable.
1 hour and a half.
But they are moving around all the time, turning and pirouetting.
What strikes me as interesting is that on Earth, with a long shadow like that, it's cold because of air absorption.
Yes, but there's no
And there's
absorption here.
no absorption there, so they're probably pretty hot, even
Yes.
on a long, glancing, low-down sun, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
On Earth, the low sun is cold, but not there.
But if you watch them moving around, they are continually turning. And I haven't seen any one of them yet stand in one position in relation to the sun for any lengthy period.
Warming up one side, cooling the other.
And he has remarked that even just as quickly as a matter of a few seconds going from the direct sunlight into the shadow, he can feel it through all those insulation layers.
Columbia, this is Houston, over.
Now, Sam, they say there's no atmosphere there. Is this absolutely certain?
No, it's not certain. In fact, these men have got instructions to seal some bags, whether with or without material, very carefully. And one of the first things that will be done in the lunar receiving laboratory is to puncture the bags to see whether there was a lunar atmosphere. There may be a faint trace of an atmosphere, which will be collected and examined with a mass spectrograph, so that there may be a bit of atmosphere, and this is the way it will be looked for. It's probably a small one, but you see, all these craters that we're looking at may be blowholes, a lot of them. And there may be gases coming up from below. We just don't know that. They may be drifting away, you see. But there may be a constant, and these funny rills that one sees, there may be a leakage, there may be a seepage.
But even if there is,
Continuous seepage.
even if there is an atmosphere, there'll only be a few millibars.
Oh yes, very thin. Oh, I don't think it'll be that.
Yes.
I think it'll be less than that.
Less than that, much
Yes,
less.
I think. But you see, it may be very important scientifically that it's got argon or helium or something, especially if it's got argon in, because from argon, the different isotopes, you get an idea of the age. Isotope. And this is very, very important. If they can get a sample of argon from that suspected atmosphere, and argon's heavy and it will stay, if they can get a sample of argon and do the isotope demonstration, they might get some indication of the age.
Down sun, zero phase, very light colored gray, light gray colored, the halo around my own shadow, around the shadow of my helmet. Then as I look off across sun, the contrast becomes the strongest in that the surrounding color is still fairly light. As you look down into the sun, a larger amount of shadowed areas looking toward us. General color of darker cross sun. Contrast is not in state. Surveying all the dusty area that we've picked up, considerably darker in texture now. I've picked up one. I imagine that this has been now by certain impact that that's what it makes surveyor. The same is true as I survey cross sun.
One point that came out, Freddie, was that the heat output from the men is exactly as predicted and they're in fine shape. They don't seem to be doing so much now. Do you think they might be tiring?
I think they're just working very hard. They have an advantage, actually.